Hello, Mr. Recap here. Today I will show an American science fiction monster film titled Rampage. Spoiler ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie begins with a short script about a breakthrough technology called CRISP and how it was used to cure incurable diseases. Later it was acknowledged as a weapon of mass destruction and proliferation due to its potential misuse. Athena 1, a space station owned by gene manipulation company Energen, is destroyed by a mutated rat. But fortunately Dr. Atkins was able to escape with the samples. But the escape pod exploded due to the damage caused by the rat. The remaining debris plummets to Earth. Then the story moves on to primatologist Davis Okoye, who was a former Special Forces soldier, who works at the San Diego Wildlife Sanctuary, who has an interesting relationship with a silverback gorilla at the facility called George. Davis saved George from poachers when he was little and since then takes care of him. They communicate with each other using sign language. Later that night, the parts of the broken escape pod crashes onto different parts of the world and different animals gets exposed to the samples in the pod. One of the samples fell on the San Diego Wildlife Sanctuary and George gets exposed to it. The next day when Davis returns to the sanctuary he finds a considerably bigger George who was injured and incidentally finds the broken canister. Meanwhile back in Chicago, Claire Wyden and Brett Wyden have found out about the escape pods and the samples and send their private military firm to get the canister that crashed in Wyoming. Burke, the head of the military firm working for Energen, reaches the crash site and finds out that a wolf has been exposed to the sample and decides to hunt the wolf down. Back in San Diego, George's blood result came back which showed dangerous level of growth hormone. Dr. Kate Caldwell, an ex-Energen scientist, reaches San Diego and meets Davis. She explains to him that the pathogen George has been exposed to makes the host more agile, gives increased strength and growth. They use CRISP to add genetic editing from different animals to host DNA, making them more dominant and powerful. At this time, George becomes restless and breaks out, and tries to run, but was shot down with sedatives by an unknown government agency. Meanwhile, Burke and his team track the wolf down but the enhanced animal kills all of them. Davis and Kate meet Harvey Russell who works for the government. They both and George get on a plane later on to fly George out of harm's way. Back in Chicago, Claire devises a plan to lure all the infected animals with a low-frequency radio wave transmitted by their tower so that the military will take care of them when they reach the city. The frequency Claire emitted causes the animal to converge to the location of the tower. Meanwhile, George, who is still on the plane, becomes agitated on hearing the signal and kills everyone on the plane. Due to the destruction he caused, the plane crashes. Davis, Kate, and Harvey manage to escape after an impressive feat of heroism. They jumped out with a parachute before the plane crashed with George in it. But on landing there, they realized that George survived the crash and was headed towards Chicago. Davis, Kate, and Harvey reaches the Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. There they meet Colonel Blake who is preparing an ambush for George and the wolf who now both seem to move together towards Chicago. The ambush later turns out to be completely ineffective. Davis and Kate with the help of Harvey steals a chopper and goes to Chicago to find the anti-mutagen. When they reach Chicago, George and the wolf already reached the city and started wreaking havoc. Blake throws everything he has against them, but nothing seems to work. Amidst this chaos, a new mutated animal joins the group in Chicago, a gigantic alligator. Nothing the military throws seems to work, so Blake decided to drop the biggest weapon they have got, the Moabs. Meanwhile, Davis and Kate get to the Energen headquarters and breaks into their research labs and find the anti-mutagen serum, which could potentially make them less aggressive, but Claire and Brett finds them and confiscates the serum from them. Kate still managed to slip past one vial of serum into her pocket. Later, Claire threatened her with a gun to follow them to the chopper at the roof, but they were met with a really angry George who tries to destroy the antenna. So Davis and Kate decided to use the serum they have on George and use George to stop the others. So they put the serum on Claire's bag and feed her to George. When the building seemed to collapse, Davis and Kate got on the broken helicopter on the roof and used it to survive when the building collapsed to the street. When they got back from the crash, they found George who was back to himself due to the anti-mutagen. Kate decided to find a satellite phone and try to contact Harvey to call off the airstrike as George and Davis took care of the rest of the animals. Davis cleverly makes the wolf and alligator fight each other and the alligator bit the wolf's head off. Meanwhile, Kate finds Harvey and warns him about the plan. Harvey contacts Blake who calls off the airstrike. Even though Davis and George are using everything they got, nothing seems to get through the thick armor of the alligator. George tries his best to overpower the animal, but it's too strong for him and its hide is too tough. When all hope seems lost as the alligator got real close to getting Davis, George jumps to rescue with a broken pole and stabs the alligator right in the eye, finally killing the horrid beast and putting an end to all this chaos. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch videos like this. Thank you for watching.